And hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pumpkin Coptercast, the only video game show. So, today I'm joined by Fahmi to talk about, his upcoming game, What Comes After.
Yep. Hello, everyone. Fahmi here.
So, for the listeners at home, let's start with, how about we start with an introduction of you?
Okay, my name is Fahmi. I'm based in Jakarta, Indonesia. And I've been working in the game industry for 9.5 years. I started my career as a programmer at Gameloft, and then I moved to game design, and then I moved to game journalism in Indonesia. And like three years ago, I joined Toge Productions, indie game developer and publisher based in Jakarta too, based in Tangerang, Indonesia.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked there as a marketing and PR manager. But in the in the process of working with Toge, I pitch a game called Coffee Talk, and that game was part of the internal game jam and got approved to be full game and was released earlier this year. Once I'm done with Coffee Talk, I left Toge to make my own games basically. And here we are now.
Okay. And what would you say was your favorite game or games growing up?
Huh. So my favorite game ever is Final Fantasy 9.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've played that game when I was 10 or 11. Um, it has a very special charm to it. Like the world feels so alive. It feels like even though the story has a lot of wars in it, it's still like a world that you want to live. And it tackles so many adult issues like that, things that I don't understand when I was a kid. But when I played again when I grow up, and just like this game is, I don't know, it's just very good. I mean, the gameplay is some part of the gameplay is questionable at best, but the world, the story, the characters, the music, everything is just perfect for me.
Okay. And what would you say is your favorite game or games now?
Okay, I mean, I still love Final Fantasy 9, but I've been playing a lot of Hades recently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've played the game since the early access launch, and I think I've clocked over 200 hours. And to be honest, there's nothing for me to play anymore. As in, like, I already unlocked everything, but yet I still come back to the game because I don't know it's just a very fun game with a good story, good characters, good music, good art, good everything. Yeah, I think I'm addicted to Hades.
And all right then. So, if the world currently wasn't the way if the world if the world currently wasn't the way it is, and things like gaming conventions were able to happen completely risk free,
Yep.
and you had a booth and just someone was walking by, like, what would be how would you try and, like, pitch this game to that person?
Okay. So just a little bit segue here. Because I'm based in Indonesia, it's very ironic because of the pandemic, everything becomes more accessible to people in in developing countries.
Mm-hmm.
Like before this to showcase at PAX, we need to spend like $10,000 or $20,000. But now because everything is online, showcasing in digital or virtual convention is very accessible to us. So yeah, that's just a segue, but just a fun fact about how this mass actually helped some. marginalized developers around the world that don't have access to convention like the developers in Japan or Germany or US. Anyway, so if I have to pitch, the elevator pitch for what comes after is it's a short story, short heartwarming story about learning how to love yourself. And you will play as Vivi uh, in her journey going to the train that takes dead people, people that pass away that day to the afterlife, and try to learn about how to love herself by talking to all these ghosts in one night. That's basically the game.
Oh. And something I'm just thinking about, like just now, is how have you ever watched the Studio Ghibli movie Spirited Away?
Yes, actually the mood board for this game, like the when I pitched this idea to my team, what I showed them was the screenshots of the train scene in Spirited Away. Like this is basically how I want the game to feel. Like it's calming, it feels mysterious, it feels like otherworldly, I guess. But these people, they are ghosts, they are things that you don't know, but you won't feel afraid. In fact, you will feel like calm inside this train. That's what we want to achieve with this game. So yeah, Spirited Away definitely very inspired us for this whole game.
Okay. And just what other what other is there anything else that you've come across that helped give you the ideas for the game? Like what other
So
sources would you say were the main inspirations?
it's a very funny story because while Spirited Away was the base inspiration for like how the game feels, the the main idea actually came from a viral tweet that happened a few months ago. So in Indonesia, that there was a viral tweet where someone overslept inside the train and he got locked up in the train and he cannot contact anyone. No one's at the station, no one's at the train. And what he did was he recorded himself inside the train while panicking and mentioning the train company. And that tweet went viral, and finally somebody helped him to go out from the train. It's it's a funny story, but then I thought that what if when he woke up, when he overslept and woke up in the empty train, the train is not actually empty and it's filled with ghosts. What will happen if that if that happens? What will he do? That's basically the initial idea of how what comes after came to life.
Okay. And so yeah, this but we know where the ideas for the game came from, but what made you want to make this particular game?
Okay, so this might be a little bit too technical and business like, but I'm actually working on another game, also about death and love. But things happen with the development because before this, I mean, I've been in the industry for 9 years,
Mm-hmm.
but I was always be part of a team, and there will always be someone who knows more than me. So those people guide me. And so I thought, okay, maybe I can make my own game and I can guide other people to work with me. It's not that easy. So for the previous game, the bigger game, let's call it Project Heartbreak, because I don't think I can share the title for now. Uh, I work with one programmer and one artist, a very good artist, but he's an illustrator, so he's not used to working in games. He doesn't know how to. He still needs to learn how to make game assets. And me, as a director and narrative designer, my technical knowledge is very limited. So I don't really know how to guide him. And I ran out of budget because This whole game was self-funded, and so I need to think of something. How can I get experience, knowledge, and money to make games? Which bring us to what comes after. So I invited the programmer for that project Outbreak to work on something new using the same engine. So when someday we will go back to Project Heartbreak, we will have a better engine, like a more improvised engine. And this game, it has to be short. It has to be quick. Like the whole game only take like 3.5 months. We started working on the game on July,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to release it like this week, which is very fast because my previous game, Coffee Talk, it took us like 2 years to make. This one is 3 months, and I work with the same programmer. I work with a few other people, uh, and thanks to this project, now I can prepare myself on how to make the game from zero when you don't have anyone that is more like when you don't have anyone that usually helps you internally. You need to seek help externally, and then what for the previous project, I only had like me as the writer and game designer, one programmer, and one artist, and one composer. So what else do I need? Thanks to this game now, I know that I need a producer, I need a technical artist, I need another help, I need editor, co-writers, and so on. And those things, uh, those things I realized after I start working on what comes after. And basically, this whole game, is just an experiment and an effort to gather budget for my next bigger game.
Oh, okay then. And so, just when the game is out, which is very soon, how will it play?
So the gameplay, it's a bit funny because in the pitch deck I made, the only features this game has is walk and talk. So it's basically like visual novel, but you just need to walk from left to right, and then you interact with other NPCs,
Mm-hmm.
talk and listen to their stories, and move from one point to another, and that's it. So this whole game is about experience, the narrative experience instead of the gameplay experience.
All right. And so, there a part of the game's development that you felt was frustrating or could have gone better than it ended up going?
There's definitely something that I found frustrating, but I don't know whether it will come out as something good or not, because the most frustrating part of making games is actually selling them, the marketing, the PR, those stuff, and you will never know the results until the game is out, until you see how people react, until you see the sales numbers. And those things is very frustrating because such an anxiety inducing things, like you will become anxious about the results. You will become you will be worried about what will happen, like what comes after what comes after the game is out. And those things will make you sleep, those things will bring you sleepless nights and so on. And all you can do is just like try your best, rest well, hope for the best, and see the results 1 week after launch.
All right. And, on the flip side of that, was there a part of the game's development that you were surprised that it went as smoothly as it did?
Mm, I guess the smoothest part was the play testing, because we work on the game from zero, from it was still sketches and ideas, and then we made it into something playable. And then we don't know whether this is something that is good enough for other people. and then we started spreading out the builds, the beta builds and the alpha build to our friends, who most of them are either working in games or media or simply love playing games. And the reaction was very, very good. And it was something I didn't expect because I was like, game worth selling? Like, is it is it worth if I spend like extra month to finish and polish this game and then sell it? Because I'm not sure about that. But then I let other people play it and they love it, which is very nice, I guess.
All right, so like you mentioned a bit earlier about how the game only took a few months to make as opposed to your previous game which took 2 years.
Yep.
Was that
Yeah.
did you feel like because the game in terms of mechanics is, relatively simple that it took a much shorter amount of time than usual?
Yes, the mechanic simplicity really helps, but usually the thing that took longest is not the mechanic itself, but the content. Like my previous game, Coffee Talk, took 2 years because you can play it for around 4 to 6 hours, or if you're a fast reader, you can beat it in like 2 or 3 hours. But this game, you can only. I think the average playtime is around 1 hour, and the number of words is much. There are less words, and then we try to optimize with the whole game is set inside the train, so we don't really need to draw too many backgrounds. The NPCs are ghosts, so I mean, ghosts are ghosts. You don't really need to make a very unique ghost or something, right? Compared to making a game where it's set in a city where people live. So thanks to that simplicity in terms of the content, we can manage to finish the game sooner than we expected to. Of course, there are still bugs happening and so on, but those things are expected.
All right. And so we move on to the final question, which everyone always understands perfectly. So, Fahmi, in your opinion, is video games?
is video games is video games the weirdest thing ever? I, I mean, like this thing is a combination of every art form. I mean, like visually, artist, audio, visual, and then narrative, and then there are also technical stuff. And video games are always the you can say it's the first playground for future technologies, from online technologies to VR to anything you can call it. But yet people still think video games are games, and that makes it the weirdest thing ever. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
That's fine. And yeah, so with that, the answer to that question, we come to the conclusion of this particular episode of the Pumpkin Copter Cast. I would like to thank Fahmi for joining me today and talking about
Thank
his
you.
game, What Comes After, which, I think you still totally can wishlist on Steam if something like this catches
Yep,
your fancy.
yep. Wishlist is very important for games on Steam, by the way. So do wishlist.
And yeah, if any of you watching at home have enjoyed hearing this and would like to hear more of this and other videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe. And when What comes out, after you're done buying that game and giving the team behind it some money, if you want to give me some money, you can go to patreon.com/slash thepumpkincoptercast, where for as little as $1 a month you can submit questions for me to use in future interviews. And yeah, this has been the Pumpkin Copter Cast, and have a gourd day, everyone.